So I am doing one of these little trainings talking about AWS DeepRacer. I have some students that are interested in some machine learning, and so I know we're going to be a little bit late to the game, but I figured we'd go ahead and try to do what we can, learn what we can, and just maybe have some fun with AWS DeepRacer. So one of the things that I keep telling my students is that, pen and paper is like the ultimate tool to learn something new. Even though we have our resources that are online, our tutorials, like right here is talking about parameters, every word functions. And it talks about the heading and the parameter, and all I really do is just rewrite it. And I usually like to use bullets to create a list. And then I have a horrible drawing of a track that's supposed to mimic that. And this is one of the things, like I am horrible when it comes to things of like that nature. Math was never my best subject. Statistics was never my best subject. But I do like problem solving as long as, okay, I'll call that person back. I don't know who it was. But, anyways, so I'm horrible at this stuff. I need a reason to why I got to learn why X is what it is and Y is what it is. And I know this is X axis, and that is, not quite like algebra and X and Y equals Z. I've never been good at math, never been good at statistics, but I do enjoy solving problems. And again, I just need a reason to solve the problems. So what I just wanted to share with this is like, I read this. I'm like, okay, I can read it. Yeah, I somewhat understand it. I watched this. Okay, watch how the heading parameter describes the orientation of the vehicle. So you can see how the vehicle changes its orientation, but that x-axis remains unmoved, right? So I read that, looked at that, rewrote what was on the webpage into a way that I can understand it, which is pretty similar to what it was. It was simple enough for me. And I did my very poor drawing of a track, and I just kind of reiterated, like, this is a car, that's supposed to be a car, and there's the x-axis. Well, whenever I was doing this, I was just like, that's a line that's 90-degree angle, I suppose, and I really didn't have a good understanding of it when I was drawing it. I just did it. It's like, okay, it's a car, and that's a line, and then, you have a dotted line to indicate that's the direction that the car's going. Because if you look, I use a dotted line just because, I'm using a pen. But you can look see that one line that's 100, that keeps changing numbers, and how that's in position to the one that's not changing, right? So I needed a way to reinforce that on here. I needed a way to make that make sense to me. And so, like, I have the solid line right here. And when I was first doing it, I was like, okay, there's a line that represents part of a 90-degree angle, I suppose. Still not having a full concept of it. And then I did the same car, like the car's moving. Again, that solid line. And the car would go like dot, dot, dot. And then when it get to this point, dot, dot, dot. It has this solid line here. And then I make notes. And when I first made the note, what I had said was, okay, one axis stays horizontal. And like, okay, one axis stays horizontal. And then it dawned on me, okay, that's the damn x-axis. So even though I read it, and I'm a fairly decent reader, and I watched that, and then I rewrote it, and then my computer went to sleep. I'm back on. Okay. Draw that horrible picture. It took me doing it, a couple of times, and then making that point. I'm like, oh, and making that connection. Okay. So I just wanted to share that this is a learning process. I actually thought I saved something here. It's a snipping tool because I thought it might be something to use in class. It talks about iteration. okay, and how the machine learning works, how it gets rewarded for doing what it's supposed to do. It talks about, like, the middles too, because you want to go in a straight line, and you don't want to go off the track per se. It's kind of a simplified version of it, and talks about iteration. And the thing that I liked about this is that, and this is something that I think we can talk about in class, is learning doesn't just happen on the first go. It takes some iteration. And I tell my students, it's like repeat, and just repeat. You got to practice, practice, practice. And even though for something as smart as what we think is machine learning, or machines and computers that are doing machine learning, computers in reality are nothing but very, very dumb machines. They seem smart because we make them smart. And to make them smart, it requires us learning. It requires practice. It requires all of that. And we are much smarter than dumb machines. And, even if a dumb machine takes multiple times to learn something, it's going to take us some time as well, even if we are smarter. We're smart. Machines are dumb. We're the ones that tell machines what to do. So learning does not just happen on the first go. It takes some iteration, which means it needs to try and try and try again, keep going at it. So I just want to share that. Bye.